Hey everyone, it's Kyle here, and today we are going to talk about whether Sandor Clegane is an anti-hero or the epitome of a true knight. Please enjoy. As all of you may know, my favorite character is Sandor Clegane, and in this video, I will explain why I think he is the perfect anti-hero with knightly qualities. So hopefully by the end of the video, you will agree. The Hound is a classic anti-villain, or as we now classify in the most comparative analyses, an anti-hero. I think if it were in a different world, we could consider Sandor a hero. His villainy has been a method for survival, something which the world demands, and even though he doesn't have the same motivations that a Joffrey Baratheon does or even a Ramsay Bolton does, the tales of the Hound echo throughout the realm. Sandor Clegane can also be classified as somewhat of a punch clock villain. These are characters who have no real grudges against the heroes, but are simply doing a job they are getting paid for. He does bad things because that's his job, as Joffrey's sworn sword, whereas his brother Gregor commits these acts with pure pleasure. Most punch clock villains aren't even very mean, even though they have an emotional detachment, and that they are mostly influenced and employed in a violent capacity. When I was digging deeper in my research on Sandor Clegane, I looked more closely at George's opinions. He has expressed his displeasures for the dichotomy of good and bad, and the hero and the villain. I think this is what inspired him to make Sandor such a compelling and amazing character. In episode 4 of season 1, part of Martin's brilliance is displayed when Sandor saves the Knight of Flowers, Loras Tyrell, who would have met his grisly demise at the hands of his brother the Mountain. No one gives an order to save Loras, but his honor drove him to do this. He's so honorable that he repugnantly rejects the idea of being called Sir when Loras thanks him for saving his life. We strongly have to consider why Sandor doesn't like being called Sir, and perhaps it's because he doesn't want to be lumped in with the same group of people who have received such an honor and corrupted its title. Now, I think it's an important question that we have to ask, and it's this: what really drives Sandor Clegane? Let's take a look at a couple of key moments that suggest it was more than just a hatred for his brother.
All right now, little bird, you're all right.
This has to be the most heroic moment, and once again Tyrion thanks him, and he tells Tyrion, "I didn't do it for you." Another moment which suggests this not to be the case is when Sandor is conversing with Brienne and lets her know that she is not thinking clearly when she suggests she could protect Arya Stark.
Me, Arya. I'll take you to safety.
Safety? Where the fuck's that? Her auntie in the Erie's dead. Her mother's dead. Her father's dead. Her brother's dead. Winterfell is a pile of rubble. There's no safety, you dumb bitch. You don't know that by now. You're the wrong one to watch over her.
And that's what you're doing? Watching over her?
Aye, that's what I'm doing.
I think all of these moments have something in common, and it's that Sandor has a true hatred for cruelty. Sandor Clegane is a man with his own code of honor, not influenced by the betrayal and infighting of the bullshit politics of Westeros. And although he has displayed a vicious brutality, his type of killing serves a purpose and is not senseless violence. Which brings me to the main point of this video and why I think Sandor is the most compelling and interesting character within the Song of Ice and Fire and the Game of Thrones. I believe that the real reason that Sandor has this amazing code of honor is because of the title Sir, and specifically Sir Gregor Clegane. Sandor idolized his brother, and the one day his brother found him playing with his wooden knight, he grabbed Sandor and put his face in the burning fire full of hot charcoal. That very same brother would receive the highest honors possible, being knighted by the prince himself, Rhaegar Targaryen. Think to yourselves for a second. If your brother was such a bad person that he killed 2 small children, babies, by smashing their heads against the wall, wouldn't that make you feel awful? The Sandor that we know surely wouldn't have stood by idly and let this all happen. Sandor must have thought to himself, how can someone so cruel and so evil be a knight? It must have been a hard realization for Sandor that the world is unfair and full of cunts.
Cunts.
I think part of the brilliance of Sandor's character is that he has real fears and real problems. Post-traumatic stress disorder is no joke, and we see this affect him in a very real way at the Battle of the Blackwater and when he is battling Beric Dondarrion in the trial by combat for his freedom at the cave. We can take a deeper look at his PTSD during Sandor's travelings when we find him telling his story to Arya after he refuses treatments for the wounds on his neck.
My brother gave me this. It was just like you said a while back. Pressed me to the fire like I was a nice juicy mutton chop.
Why?
Thought I stole one of his toys. I didn't steal it, I was just playing with it. The pain was bad. The smell was worse. But the worst thing was that it was my brother who did it.
This is one of my favorite moments in the story because it shows us even though Sandor is a powerful 6'7" warrior who can combat multiple foes at any time, that he is vulnerable and that he is human. This is the moment where Sandor became my favorite character because he put everything else aside and let Arya know that she wasn't alone, and he opened himself up and showed us why he is the way he is. Some argue that Sandor is the human embodiment of the Stranger, one of the gods of the Seven. And oddly enough, his horse is named Stranger. But really, honestly, tinfoil aside, he is much more than a killing machine with no conscience. Sandor Clegane is an anti-hero with knightly qualities that I come to admire, one of the few people in Westeros with a true purpose in the War for Dawn. In part 2, we will predict where Sandor's story arc will go in the books and the final 2 seasons of A Game of Thrones, and we will discuss why he will be a major player in the War for Dawn and have an awesome bromance with possibly Tyrion Lannister. And if you did get this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed what I had to say, a like would be much appreciated. Please subscribe to this channel. Don't be shit at subscribing, as Sandor would say.
Cunt! You should have done her that.
We don't like greasy cunts here on Channel KSC.
There's no cure for being a cunt.
And it has been my pleasure, but remember, if you don't like, comment, or subscribe, I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this place. Make sure you stay for the outro video of the Hound dancing while eating chicken. 7 blessings, everyone.